Empire. Daniel Snyder learns his fate after the completion of the investigation into the allegations of rampant misconduct. What did the NFL decide? We're going to get into it all here on this episode of the Football Jones podcast. This is Mike Jones. You can read me at usatoday.com. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at @ByMikeJones. I'm joined by John Keim, ESPN reporter and host of the John Keim Report, also of Empire Media Podcast Network. And so we're going to do it right now, take a dive into the decision by the NFL, which was fining him $10 million. And basically, that's it. What does it all mean? Let's get into it right now. All right, and here he is. You know him, John Keim, ESPN, Washington football team insider, also the host of the John Keim Report, friend of the podcast, my barbecue brother. How you doing, man? Well, speaking of barbecue, I think we're both kind of fried right now. Yeah, we definitely are. It's been a busy day, and we knew this day was coming, didn't know exactly when, but the writing was on the wall. There was a little bit of smoke there that we knew something might come when Dan Snyder named Tanya Snyder co-CEO. And we talked about it on your podcast a little bit earlier this week. Right. And so now I wanted to have you on mine so we can break it down now that the news is out. What was your reaction to this punishment? $10 million given to charity. And basically that's it. I mean, he voluntarily decided that he'll step away from the day-to-day operation and focus on a stadium deal. What did you think of all that? Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, his wife is going to be in charge of the day-to-day. I mean, he can go home and say, boy, Tanya, I really didn't like that quarterback play. I wonder how that Heineke kid would look on the field. You know what I mean? Like, right. There's still a way to get that across. So I do think for the sake of the building, it's better, I think, when he's not there as much. But he hasn't been there as much lately. Right. You know, I talked to somebody the other day who was like, he goes, I asked him the other day that, has he been out of the building as much? And I think we know that he's been gone more recently, but there are periods of the year where he's there 3 or 4 days a week. And he's like, in the spring, he goes, it was unusual how absent he was. But that's like, that's not really a punishment. Right. The fine, it's the most that the NFL has levied. I don't think any other owner has been fined that much, correct? But I also know that you're talking about billionaires here. And I know for many people, that wasn't enough. No, I think our buddy Mitch Tischler broke it down. He said the equivalent. I think his math was off, though. People called him on his math. Right. But that's ballpark wise, that's like a regular person paying a speeding ticket, basically. Well, I think, and I think like the point that is made too is, first of all, it's coming from the team. It's not, I don't know that it's coming out of his pocket necessarily. So it may actually be coming out of raises for other people for all we know. Yeah. But it's coming from the team, and it's not like, cash on hand is not always the same as your value of a franchise. So I'm sure at some level, maybe he'll feel it, but not certainly to the level that people would want him to feel something. Right. We know that. And I think, I'm sure in your reporting and my reporting, I never got the sense from anybody around the league that they felt like he would be forced to sell the team, that this would, whether or not people wanted to go to that level, it didn't rise to that level for people who pay attention to stuff in the league. I think the question was, would he be suspended? Yeah. And, a legit suspension for a year or two, a Steinbrenner type suspension when he's with the Yankees, where it was a legit thing and he's out of the day-to-day and completely for however long. That's the part that surprised me a little bit. I think the other part, Mike, that surprised everybody is that the fact that it was that Beth Wilkinson gave the report to the NFL orally and there was no written report submitted to the NFL. Doesn't mean, I'm sure she's got a lot of stuff written down. Sure. It's just it wasn't submitted to the NFL that way. And I think that was one of the oddities of this situation. Yeah, that really was, because,
there have been plenty of investigations. I can't remember how many pages Deflategate was. It was like 136 or something like that. This is 2 decades worth of problems, and the fact that it was orally or verbally given to them was just really really strange to me. I know they said that they felt like it would ensure confidentiality, but I still think there was a way that, I mean, they could have blacked out names. They could have done something to still have a record of this if they
Right.
really wanted to. So I feel like I felt like the NFL came off soft, and that they really were trying to protect, their own.
Oh,
All the
absolutely.
patting on the back for the changes he has made, saying they're ensuring accountability and all kinds of this stuff. I mean, they definitely were protecting Snyder more than they were protecting female employees of the NFL.
And I think what also the other point is the league doesn't want this to linger.
Right.
And if you have a written report, it's going to get out. It's going to be out there for everybody to see for a long time. And if you don't release it, people are going to be digging into it to find out what was in there. And so I think that I'm guessing that was part of the motivation there too. Again, I think if you're one of the victims, one of the people who talk to them, you're probably not. We know from the attorney statement that on the attorneys who represent the 40 women who were infected by this former female employees, that they weren't happy about this.
Right.
So I think that's one thing that I think would have satisfied people more if they had made their findings public and laid it all out there. But I think you're right, from a league standpoint, it's not what they want.
Right, exactly. And it's kind of, I heard from a number of people that were like, okay, the league's been doing all this stuff, to champion diversity, to champion better hiring practices for people of color and for women, and this month with Pride Month, and then they do something like this to protect Snyder. They felt like this was kind of not the move that they were looking for, and I knew that people were going to be dissatisfied with it, but I just thought, and I didn't think he was going to be heavily punished. But there were people who felt like, well, he's getting his wife in place because there's going to be some kind of a suspension.
Right. Right. And I think once she was named the co-CEO, we knew something was going to happen this week, and that it would involve him stepping away in some capacity or maybe being suspended. So I think that was clearly a tip-off. Once it happened, it was a tip-off. Even people in the building were like, yeah, they were expecting that other shoe to drop any day. And it certainly happened a couple of days later. So but yeah, I think that's one of the things that would have been able to satisfy more people, that if you're not going to fine them, then maybe you need to really lay it all out there and say, this is what's been going on. And if, your record is out there, and, you have to move away from that. And they were pretty clear that the hiring Rivera and Jason Wright were big factors for them, and what they feel like they can do, and the respect that they have within league offices. But we'll see. I mean, I know a lot of people are skeptical that Dan Snyder will ever change, but he's also never gone through anything like this. He's never had to be confronted by anything like this. And I don't know that you're going to come out with a completely different person, but maybe does it cause him to operate in a different way and listen to people, with the ideas that he has kind of ignored in the past.
Yeah. I mean, maybe some of this egregious stuff is gone, but I hear from people in that building that there's still a lot of problems, a lot of employees not feeling heard, not feeling valued. And there's a lot of window dressing.
There is, and there is, and that's one thing. Like, I think, I don't know if that's due to a transition. I don't know what some of those reasons could be. And as you move forward, you have to parse some of that out, but that is a key. People need to be heard. And one of the reasons why in the past people here lobbied for more diverse hirings, not just in terms of it was gender, it was race, but it was also outside that Ashburn bubble.
Right.
Because a lot of times there's people being promoted from within, and so you never got different ideas, but people then weren't heard either. And what people want more than anything is to be heard. And part of the problem with this, the whole situation in the past, that they'd go to human resources and they might jot stuff down, but they don't feel like they were heard because there was nothing ever followed up on. And more than anything, it's just, you need to be heard. So yeah, I mean, I don't know that, we'll see. I don't know that I haven't covered other organizations, so I don't know how it is at other places. Is it now normal here compared to others, or is it still different compared to others? I don't have anything to compare it to.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I do know that some people who have moved on have said like other places it's a breath of fresh air. Now,
Oh yeah,
maybe 2 years from now, people will notice a difference. Maybe, it's, nothing's going to happen overnight. Obviously, those women who went through that stuff are hurt and upset by the punishment, or, that they feel is very lenient, which to me seemed very lenient. Best possible scenario for Snyder, really.
Oh yeah,
100% control of the team.
100% best possible scenario for him. It's, at the end of the day, he lost, he paid money. That's it.
Exactly. So and can you write that out? I wonder if you could write that off as a tax deductible.
Yeah, and I mean, he's paying with his I'd say his reputation is in tatters, but it's not like he was
great before.
Right. He wasn't Bob Kraft before, and then you go through this, and now it's changed. It was not good before, but I think so yeah, I don't know what else to say on that. Yeah.
We don't know. It'll take some time to see if there is a change in that culture there. But obviously now the chapter's closed on this, as far as the NFL is concerned. Snyder, and also now he's got more time. Maybe he'll seal the deal on a stadium thing since he has more time to focus on that. But
yeah, I think listen, he can build an empire and a monument to himself with that thing. And if he lets people over here run it, and maybe it's got a chance. Because there are, I do think there are differences there, but like, we haven't been in the building in a long time. So we don't know what it's, you can talk to people and you hear things. Again, I don't know. And we don't even work in there.
And they haven't even fully been in the building.
No. So
like
it
used to be.
And I think they're going to, I think they're in the middle of, I think a lot of the business side are going to be moving out to the stadium, I believe. Okay. So it's just going to become a different situation. And will that help or not? I don't know. And sometimes you can make these changes and you realize that, well, should person X be in charge of this? Should, you know what I mean? So like, you don't know. And so I think if there are issues and they're allowed to fester, then you're going to be back to maybe not in the exact same situation, but you're going to be back in a situation where it's not pleasant for people. And you do want, obviously the best organizations are places where people are there for a while and want to be there for a while.
Exactly. All right, Cakes. Well, I know you're super busy, but I wanted to quickly take everybody inside, break this thing down, hear your perspective and what this all means. So thank you very much. I know you are going to try to get some vacation time coming up, but I know you also are a meticulous planner and you have some podcast episodes coming up. Anything you want to preview or tease for us?
Well, I just released one with their undrafted running back, Jared Patterson. If you remember him, scored 8 touchdowns, an NCAA record 8 touchdowns in a game at Buffalo, trying to make the roster, undersized guy. And then in coming weeks, we'll have just running through the NFC East, preview with other reporters in the NFC East, my colleagues at ESPN. And so there'll be a few like that. And as we go into camp, there's going to be about 2 a week. So there you go.
Good deal. All right. That's the John Keim Report. John Keim, thank you so much. I will talk to you and hope you get to catch your breath just a little bit.
All right, Mike. Thanks.
Thank you.
This episode is brought to you by the NBA. Witness mind-bending competition on the biggest stage between the best players in the world, a place where legends are made. It's impossible jumps that seem to freeze in midair, and spectacular steals that you didn't see coming. It's that one play that lasts seconds that you will talk about for the rest of your life. And let's face it, it's the unpredictability of it all, never knowing when the next big moment will happen. Huge wins and crushed dreams. It's the drama of it all. You just can't make this stuff up. That's the NBA. That's game. The NBA playoffs are happening right now. Don't miss all the action.
This episode is brought to you by HP Plus. In a world full of smart devices, shouldn't your printer be smart too? It is with HP Plus. These printers know when they're running low, so you always get the ink you need delivered right when you need it. Plus, you save up to 50% on ink, so you can print whatever you want, as much as you want, anytime you want. Huh, that is pretty smart. Get 6 free months of instant ink when you choose HP Plus. Conditions apply. Visit hp.com/smart for details.
Hey, this is Joel Corey from Inside the Cap. I know you're enjoying Football Jones, hosted by Mike Jones, which goes in depth with coaches, executives, players, and NFL insiders. Once you're done with listening to Football Jones, check out my podcast, Inside the Cap, which explains the ins and outs of the NFL salary cap and player contract negotiations. So enjoy Football Jones, Inside the Cap, and other fine products brought to you by Empire Media.
All right, thanks so much to John Keim. It's the end of this chapter, we believe. Wacky finish, not at all probably what Snyder and those close to him deserved, but it is what the NFL has decided. I feel for the women who were hoping for a better outcome, but this is how it is now. Not entirely surprising, but at the same time, it is. I wrote about it on usatoday.com. You can go check out that column. It went live Thursday night, so it is on the site there. Thanks so much for listening. Again, you can read me usatoday.com. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram @ByMikeJones. Do me a favor, share this podcast with a friend, and I'll talk to you guys again next time.